Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at how the markets unfolded yesterday, which was May the 30th. So let's start by looking at a 3-minute chart of the ES. Here you can see the STF was black to start with, then turned blue for the rest of the day. Therefore, for the standard traders among you, the large degree trend was up. We've got a lovely TS3 buy setup here at about 20 past 11. So if we hover over this blue buy bar, right mouse click to analyze setup, this would give us our trade setup. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small and under control. You can see this would have taken into a long trade. The market then moved up and hit our first WPT target here. When this happens, we come down to look at our strength band, which is our grey band here in relation to the STF indicator. You can see this was less than the strength band. This is what we call weak, therefore would come out at the WP target. The WPT target. As you can see, this would actually come out with a lovely plus 2.7R profit. Not only that, that would have been taking profit at the very high of the day for you, or pretty much the high of the day. So what a great place to bank your profit as the high of the day comes in before the market backs off. So very, very nice trade setup there. Only advanced traders among you would be looking to pyramid or add because you're already in a long trade. So on the ES, very nice trade setup. Long from there into the high of the day for a nice 2.7R profit. YM slightly different in that we had an additional trade set up here on the sell side. If we look at the STF color, you can see the STF color is black. Therefore, standard traders would have been happy to take, would have been happy to take this trade set up here. Again, there's our position sizing, varying the number of lots, contracts or shares to again keep our initial risk small under control. Should have been short from here down into the first target. STF is weak. Come out at the first target for a nice plus 3R profit, so an additional trade there. You'd have then taken this long trade here, just as the same on the ES. Now it's interesting on the YM because the YM didn't actually reach its first profit target. So I'd like to spend a little bit more time in the second part of this video seeing what you would have been doing if you were trading the YM. Well, first and foremost, because all the markets go in tandem, what you should have been noticing is as the ES came up and actually reached its first target at 14.57 and well just before 3 o'clock there, so 14.54, 14.57, these bars here, the ES was at its target, so therefore on the YM you should have at this same time here, which was 14.57, 14.54, this area here, you should be concerned that the YM was then going to reverse because the ES is the boss. In other words, the ES would have dragged the YM down. So the sensible thing to do would have been to just start to trail your protective stop just below the bar lows, and in this case lock in plus 2.6R profit. That was the first thing you should have looked at. Were there any other reasons why you'd be looking to protect your profit on the YM? Well, yes, because as an advanced trader, what we do is we look at the larger degree time frames. So in other words, if we move out to the 15-minute chart here, what we do on these is we put our DPs and our WPTs on the chart. Now these are important because unlike the STF, these are leading indicators. These are on the chart before you even get there. So we'll have seen that there was a high made earlier in the day around about 10 o'clock. So you'd have right mouse click, you'd have put this DP on the chart here. This would have been your 15-minute DP, your larger degree resistance area. This would have been on your chart in advance. We now go back to the 3-minute chart. So this would have been on your 3-minute chart there ready for you as the market was going up. Remember, this was actually placed off this high here right at 10 o'clock. So this was on your chart right from early in the morning. So when you were now in this particular long trade here, you'll have known that your 3-minute target was above your larger degree resistance area. Therefore, you'd have been slightly concerned about that. So take that into consideration with your ES chart reaching its target at around the 3 o'clock zone, which was here, and that would be another reason why you'd want to bring your stop a little bit closer. Also, I want to have another look at a more advanced setup in and around this particular time here, which is 14.30. 2:30, why you would have wanted to stop and reverse to a short trade at this particular time. So here you would have been stopped out of your long trade. So that's why I want to go over that, to give you at least two reasons why on your YM you wouldn't have gone to the first target. You'd have looked to come out a bit earlier because of the position of the ES and also because of this 15-minute resistance here. Let's clear the analysis which we got here. Right, here we are coming up into this 15-minute resistance area. So you're at large degree resistance. Now the bar that I found interesting was this one here. Just leave the cursor on there for a second so you can see that was the 1427 bar. This bar here made a new high above here. There's the high. So it went through this up into our DP resistance area. But the most important thing is if I look at the volume, and I look at the volume on this particular 1427 bar, if you come down here and look at our volume here, this was actually indicated as what we call a VSA bar, a volume spike analysis. In other words, it's telling us that something interesting is happening in this bar. Now when we get one of these VSA bars on our volume and the market is moving to new highs and it's reaching a resistance area, in this case a DP resistance area, we then look to the bar after that, in other words the next bar, in other words the 1430 bar, to see if the market continues higher or reverses back down. In this case it snapped back and reverses back down. What that means is that the volume in this 1427 bar is, or increased volume I should say, is actually selling by the professionals. So when we see this, we can take this as an opportunity to have a new short trade. Normally I look at the first swing off the going into the pivot, which is this one here, for a potential target. Now if I put the risk reward off this 1430 bar down to this first target, you can see it's only 1.4, therefore it wouldn't be a trade you'd really want to consider. So just for a second I'll go back to the 15-minute chart and let's put our larger degree support areas on now. So as we went up to this high, we'd have had another low pivot here, so I can put the DP on from there. There's also another low pivot here, so I can put the DP on from there. And these could be potential larger degree support zones on our 3-minute chart. So now we're back on our 3-minute chart. So because this is a high volume VSA setup, we're anticipating that professionals are now coming in to sell this market, so therefore you'd be anticipating a fairly decent move. So that's why you wouldn't even consider taking a trade into this first target, because the move's too small. So at the very least you'd say, right, okay, I'd come down to here to our lower target where there's a potential plus 3R profit. So I'll just take that one off as that's not relevant. But you see why I did that? Because this VSA setup indicated that professionals are now entering the market, and professionals tend to move the market. In other words, they're not interested in small moves, they tend to get quite decent moves. So here we are, market came down to our first potential target here. If we come down now, look at the STF. When it reaches the target here, we come down, the STF is actually strong, therefore we'd trade it with an ATR stop. Therefore that means holding down into the close for a potential 4.5R. For those of you who are really aggressive, you might want to take profit at this lower DP target because you knew you were pretty much on the close anyway. But let's take the more conservative approach and say you came out on the close there for say plus 4.4 or plus 4.5R. So this was a lovely trade setup for the more advanced traders among you, and it was all initiated by knowing that you were at large degree 15-minute resistance in the first place, by knowing that the market made a high volume VSA setup bar on the 1427 bar, which was here, knowing that it actually made new highs above the prior pivot, knowing that the next bar it then reversed back down, and this was a classic setup for our VSA. So the more experienced traders among you would have actually been selling the very high of the day there and catching that nice decline into the close. So a couple of good things for your MTPredictor users yesterday. First and foremost, a lovely standard trade on the ES, going right up into the high of the day. And secondly, we talked about how to manage the long trade on the YM if you were long of that, taking into account the 15-minute resistance, and then also how you could have had a lovely VSA sell setup here based on this MTPredictor VSA setup. So some good trades were available for MTPredictor customers yesterday on the USE minis.